Okay, we're live.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. My name is Ben Bryce. I am the Senior Manager for State Affairs with EDF Action, an advocacy partner for the Environmental Defense Fund. It's great to have you out here in sunny Tucson, maybe too sunny, but I grew up in Southern Arizona, so I'm always glad to escape Phoenix and get a little closer to home. But better than being closer to home is being here to talk about the opportunities that the clean energy transition is bringing to Arizona, and especially bringing to us and our economy. On behalf of EDF Action, I want to thank President Biden and Senator Kelly and the members of the Arizona delegation for their votes for the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act. Those landmark laws are supercharging opportunities for us here at home. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank Senator Sandershan for standing as a bulwark for environmental issues here at home, especially on water, protecting our precious groundwater resources. So thank you to both of you for the work that you do. But with that, it is my honor to introduce my children's favorite astronaut, Senator Mark Kelly.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And thanks to EDF for all you guys do. And it's great for me to be back here in Tucson and to be here at Solar Gain and celebrate Arizona's booming clean energy economy. And thanks again to EDF and Solar United Neighbors for bringing us together. Now, let's start by getting something out of the way here. The state of Arizona is on the front line of climate change. Climate change is creating conditions where extreme weather events like heat waves, catastrophic wildfires, and flooding have become a lot more common. And here in Tucson, we are experiencing some of that. And Arizonans know the effect of climate change all too well. But there's also good news that folks don't often hear a lot about. And that's that Arizona isn't just on the front line of the challenges from climate change, we're also on the front line of the solutions. Our state, especially here in Southern Arizona, we've long been a leader in clean energy. And now, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, Arizona's leadership is being boosted with investments in developing solar energy and manufacturing and the deployment of renewable energy. And thanks to companies like Solar Gain, an American battery factory right here in Tucson, we are building and deploying solar panels, batteries, and other renewable energy technology that's going to help reduce emissions and slow climate change. But one thing is clear, and that is that the Inflation Reduction Act is working. These investments are not just helping us fight climate change. They've created more than 11,000 good-paying jobs here in Arizona, not in some other country. Everybody likes to talk about bringing good-paying jobs back to America, but we are actually doing it. These are good-paying jobs, the kind of jobs that you can actually raise a family on. But the work here is not done. There's a lot more we need to protect our children and grandchildren from the worst effects of climate change. I'm never going to forget the first time I looked down at our planet from space aboard the space shuttle. And the atmosphere is so thin that it looks like a contact lens on an eyeball. It's that thin. And it's the only thing that protects us from the vacuum of space and allows us to live on this planet. And make no mistake, there is no planet B. There is nowhere else for us to go. So the Inflation Reduction Act has been a huge step in the right direction, but we cannot lose the momentum here, folks. As long as we keep pushing, Arizona will continue to benefit and remain at the forefront of clean and renewable energy. So thank you for being here today. And I'm pleased to introduce State Senator Priya Sundaresan.
Thank you so much, Senator Mark Kelly, for everything you're doing for us here in Tucson and the state of Arizona in DC. I'm State Senator Priya Sundaration. I represent LD 18 and Tucson in the Arizona legislature. As the ranking member on the Senate Natural Resources, Energy, and Water Committee, I'm very focused on doing everything that we can to address climate change and water scarcity and ensure a sustainable future for Arizona. Am I too close? Thanks. I'm so thrilled to be celebrating the investments that have come right here to Tucson and to Southern Arizona, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law that are promoting the growth of the solar industry right here. And especially thanks to Senator Kelly and our other Arizona delegation members who were instrumental in the passage of those laws. Without their votes, without Senator Kelly's vote, that wouldn't be the case. And thanks to the Biden-Harris administration for implementing the laws in the way that has drawn down these resources right here to Arizona. And although it's not obvious from the name, both the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act are the most significant pieces of climate legislation that has come from Congress in decades. These are transformative pieces of legislation that are creating energy jobs, combating the climate crisis, incentivizing energy efficiency, and strengthening our resilience, and addressing environmental justice. These accomplishments are significant because of the sustained efforts over the years to help Arizona become a leader in solar energy. That goes all the way back to the efforts of our former Congresswoman, Gabby Giffords, who had worked very hard to make Arizona a leader in solar energy, because this is the place. This is the place that it should be a leader in solar energy. And these investments will help move our state towards a sustainable and resilient future. Because as we have known for decades, we must transition as quickly as possible to renewable energy production so that we can fend off the worst effects of climate change. I was pleased in October to attend the American Battery Factory groundbreaking right here in Tucson to build a gigafactory to build lithium-ion batteries. That investment will bring an estimated 1,000 jobs to the area. And now we are here to celebrate today the expansion of Solar Gain's workforce as they're meeting the growing demand for solar installations. This is exactly what we need to be seeing here in Arizona, and I'm so glad to see it. I also want to uplift the state role in this partnership with the federal government, thanks to our Arizona Governor, Katie Hobbs, who has stood up the Arizona's Office of Resiliency in order to position Arizona to benefit from these federal resources. The Office of Resiliency has created a climate action plan and will soon be distributing about $153 million in home energy rebates for energy efficiency purchases for low to medium income households, and $156 million in Solar for All grants and loans for residential deployment. It's a huge amount of money. We're so thankful this is all possible thanks to the partnership between our state and the federal government's investment in Arizona. But there's so much more that we need to be doing, even at the state level, to fully avail ourselves of the benefits of these laws. Our regulatory bodies should be updating and strengthening our renewable portfolio standards. And our utilities should be supporting solar customers with appropriate payments for their energy provided back to the grid, and assisting in distributed storage adoption to maximize the benefits of distributed solar production and to ensure grid reliability. As a solar homeowner myself, I know that each of us plays an important role in being a distributed source of renewable energy, specifically renewable solar energy. So let's celebrate today the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act that are allowing many more Arizonans, including those at a community level, to participate in solar energy production. Let's do much more. Let's strengthen these laws. Let's invest more, and we must absolutely not weaken these investments. Thank you so much, and I'm now proud to introduce Autumn Johnson, who is the Executive Director of the Arizona Solar Energy Industries Association.
Good morning. My name is Autumn Johnson, and as she said, I'm the Executive Director of the Arizona Solar Energy Industries Association, or ARASIA. Arizona advocates for policies that advance solar storage and electrification at every level of government in the state of Arizona. And as a resident of Arizona who was born and raised here and a U of A grad, bear down, I'm also proud to say that Gabby Giffords is a personal hero of mine, and so I'm very honored to be included today. Solar is vitally important to our state. As the sunniest state in the country, Arizona has more than 8,000 solar jobs and more than 350 companies, which invest more than $1.5 billion in the state annually. The Inflation Reduction Act has been an essential tool in advancing the clean energy economy of Arizona. Tax incentives help individual homeowners, businesses, and nonprofits install solar and storage while reducing installation costs by 30% or more. A $156 million award to the state for the Solar for All grant program will invest approximately $66.5 million in our rooftop solar industry. And it seems there is a new announcement almost every day about a new battery or electric vehicle manufacturer setting up shop in Arizona, many of which receive domestic manufacturing credits from the IRA. More manufacturing, including solar panel manufacturing in the US and in Arizona, is a direct result of the Inflation Reduction Act. These facilities employ hundreds to thousands of people each. Since the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, Arizona has added more than 10,000 new clean energy jobs, and more than $10.5 billion in local investments have been announced. Nearly 24 new utility-scale solar projects, totaling nearly 5,000 megawatts, are underway in the state since the passage of the IRA. The IRA provides Arizona member companies like Solar Gain and Net Zero, both based right here in Tucson, with the long-term regulatory certainty necessary to run a small business. Both have been able to grow their staffs even with challenging state solar policies. There is something for everyone to like about solar and energy storage and these significant investments in our state. We want to celebrate these historic contributions and also call on federal policymakers to uphold the IRA and honor your commitments to Arizona and the many, many ways in which we all benefit as residents from this thriving industry. Solar, storage, and electrification are essential tools in the transition to clean energy. Solar is the least cost energy generation resource. It uses virtually no water in operations, and with storage can provide a dispatchable reserve of clean energy. Thank you, Senator Kelly and Governor Hobbs for your support, and we look forward to continuing to power this great state. Thank you, and I'm happy to introduce Craig Storley, a local Tucson solar homeowner.
Well, I finally realized how I should be using this placard. It's warm. Notes. My spouse and I moved to Arizona in 2017. We are from Wisconsin, and we retired about then and said we're going down south. And we snowbirded for a couple years, but quickly realized we love Tucson, and we moved here. We knew it was hot down here. That's a no-brainer. But what we didn't realize is that we have, 300 cloudless days in Tucson? I think it's something like that. Which, being environmentalists and concerned about climate change, global warming, we decided to look into solar. And we did, and unfortunately, it's a little expensive. It's a little pricey. But more research, and I quickly discovered that the Inflation Reduction Act and a similar program with the state of Arizona could reduce our system cost by over 30% when you count the state money in there. More research, finding a vendor, signing contracts, and 2 years later, construction began on our 8-kilowatt system. We went online in the fall of 2023. The cost of the system was just over $21,000. But after the rebates, taking off about $7,000 off that amount, we paid about $14,000 for our 8-kilowatt system. Many people have been asking me, does that rebate thing, that tax credit thing really work? And I can say yes. When I filed my taxes last year, my tax preparation software knew all about these programs and submitted my taxes, and I received the full credits that we all talk about. We did not purchase a battery bank. A battery bank would have about doubled the system cost. I believe I read it's something about 6%. Well, I think we mentioned it earlier inside. 6% of systems go in with a bank at the time the array is put in. So we're not there yet with batteries yet, but we're still looking. It's on our things we still need to do list. Initial savings are only half the story. How much do we save per month? Well, I don't have a lot of data because we've only had the system since fall of 23. But I can we were paying roughly $140 to $150 per month. This is average monthly over the entire year. But now with the solar, we're paying roughly $20 to $30 per month. Huge savings. He liked it too. Many households are taking advantage of the IRA just like we did. More and more, we're seeing people ready and willing to help meet our country's clean energy goals and to combat climate change. However, we still have work to do. As I mentioned, batteries, that's the bugaboo in this thing. And I'm still doing research, and I'm looking to Australia, who's doing something called community power banks or energy banks. And it's something that we have to be looking at too, where they put in a bank into a community. It's about the size of a SUV, and it is just a battery bank. And during the day, midday, when everyone's got excess solar, rather than selling it back to the utility, you can put it in the energy bank. At night, when you need it back, you can get the energy that you stored back. But it's not just for the solar owners, it's for the entire community. There's going to be enough energy to go around for lots of people, which is great. Not everyone can afford a solar system. And the energy bank, I'm watching that one. Okay, with that, I am done. I'd like to introduce Adrian Keller. Adrian's the Arizona Program Director of SUN, Solar United Neighbors. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning, everybody. As I was just introduced, my name is Adrian Keller. I'm the Arizona Program Director for Solar United Neighbors. Solar United Neighbors, or SUN for short, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping Arizonans go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. Since 2020, we've helped more than 500 people across the state go solar, many of whom are right here in Tucson. I'm thrilled to join Senator Kelly and the rest of today's speakers to celebrate the amazing solar growth happening right here in Tucson and across the state, thanks largely in part to investments from the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law. Tax incentives and grant programs bolstered by the IRA have a massive impact on the savings folks are able to achieve by going solar, as you just heard from Craig. Thanks to the IRA, Arizona homeowners who install a solar system or battery storage are eligible to receive a federal income tax credit worth 30% of the total cost. Let's not forget that without the Inflation Reduction Act, that would have dropped to zero in 2023. Thanks to this law, it's been extended in full until 2032, which is a huge deal for the industry. One particularly exciting program to come out of the Inflation Reduction Act is something called direct pay. Before the IRA, tax-exempt organizations like nonprofits, schools, and houses of worship really did not have a way to benefit from these tax credits and programs for clean energy. The IRA not only extended these valuable credits, but it also expanded their availability by allowing tax-exempt organizations to receive cash rebates in lieu of traditional tax credits. Our organization recently helped Edge High School right here in Tucson install solar panels. Thanks to direct pay, students and their community. Thanks to direct pay, we're bound to see more and more Tucson nonprofits, school districts, local governments, and nonprofits installing their first ever solar arrays this year. Again, I want to echo the thanks to President Biden, Senator Kelly, and the rest of Arizona's congressional delegation who supported these vital investments in Arizona's solar economy. As Tucson and Arizona continue to face more extreme heat, coupled with higher electricity costs, now is the time to double down and keep the momentum going to ensure that every Arizonan who wants to has the opportunity to benefit from solar energy. And today we call on Congress in the strongest possible way to protect the Inflation Reduction Act and the vital solar investments that are already making a tangible impact in everyday people's lives here in Tucson and across the state. With that, that concludes our press conference, and I'm sure we'd be happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you. So all of the speakers have generously agreed to stick around and answer some questions if we have any right now. Otherwise, we can arrange to take some conversations off to the side.